time ago, I can still remember how that music.
Because sustenance is a hard thing, I believe. You know, living off the land is a hard thing to do, especially if you don't have that But if you don't have that culture and that background to do it, you know, you get a city boy down here. Can't tell you the difference between a pecan tree and a, you know.
Well, the pecans come off the pecan.
You know, but I'm telling you, dude.
I understand, and it's a point I've never really thought of. So, for instance, if there were 10 people that wanted to see a rural, self-sustained lifestyle, there would be a place for that. I mean, this could be part of this movement to show urban people how to live. Okay, so therefore, if we took 1,000 acres of land up here and we allowed it for that purpose for people to occupy, urbanites or myself or whoever, but yet have it remain protected. Does that make sense? Because if you're totally unprotected, there's no rules and regulations, and some people are going to take advantage of that. So if you took the public lands and allowed more use on it, allowed more occupation of it, okay, let me not ramble here. If I couldn't stand to live in the city, in the metropolitan area, and I feel like even if I'd lived there all my life, at one point in time I would want to get out and occupy me 10 acres, and I might not have the money to do it. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, we can occupy it, but the occupation has to be seen as like a privilege rather than a right. That is, you can occupy it provided that you don't destroy everything there. You know, you don't kill all the trees and wildlife that are there, and you know, extract everything. You know.
Well, for instance, we camp out. If we nail a nail into a tree, we've been reprimanded for that, and you can actually be written a ticket for that. If you tie your horse to a tree, you have to tie lines in. But man ought to be able to cut him a tree down, shouldn't he? You get put in jail for that for sure.
You can get put in jail for crossing the street. We got arrested.
You need a permit You need a permit for like a fire or a camp or something like that.
I think they're taking us over, Greg. No, they're Occupy America, a faction of that. This is Bo. This is Daryl. This is Darren. This is Peter, and this is Turtle. Turtle. This is Greg Allen.
How you doing?
Greg's a country boy now.
There you go. He's got some soul though. Yeah, just for the handshake.
Okay, so why? I've not heard of anybody occupying the national forest.
I can tell you why. Right now, it's like mostly a movement in the cities, just like kind of like Haight Ashbury was in the city, and then people went out to the country after that. I'm figuring this is what's going to happen again, probably. Right now, it's just mostly like downtown. People are putting up their tents downtown and protesting various things. And
the guy in Nashville peed on the woman's head. They claimed to make the occupation look bad, but see, I mean, there are a lot of people's against this stuff. A lot of people
lots of people just like going there to shoot up and to party. It's unfortunate, but this is what happens because these are in the middle of cities which are messed up.
Is it a little bit like the Deadhead movement?
It's different than the Deadhead. People are hurt. People are pissed off. Like we said when we first pulled up here, one of the big parts is the fact that the banks are screwing over everybody. And they are screwing people over because when you rig the game so that you win, and the government, they work hand in hand. When the politicians retire, they become heads of CEOs. You also said the distribution of wealth. I'm not necessarily for distribution of wealth that way, but fair taxes that everybody should pay. If we have to pay taxes at all, fair taxes.
Be careful, my friend. You tread on the toes of a king. You see, and I'm very careful what I say too. Although I may be very inclined to agree with what you say. This is just real interesting because it just you don't see it around there. Everybody's content basically. No, everybody's not content. They're rumbling and grumbling. They're dissatisfied in a lot of different ways. Basically, content or complacent maybe would be the better word. But so I've got some friends that own large tracts of land against the national forest. And if I took a bunch of ragtags, even if y'all was millionaires or the president's son, but people are going to consider you, up here to this 1,000 acres and say, look here, boys, let's occupy this right here for a while. Probably piss the neighbors off, but I'd like to do something like that possibly. Could you think we could get about 10,000 people from Atlanta? Boy, there's a bunch of people in Atlanta, ain't there? To come up here and sit on 1,000 acres just to make a point to the government, this is our land, and we're going to use it.
We're headed that way.
So you said something about people are grumbling, they're mumbling. What is that about?
Well, if this is not a ploy to use things against me, such is my opinion. Trust me, I say that with sarcasm. Where do you want me to start? Okay.
People want to know. What like? Yeah.
Well, one of my pet peeves is the fact that an officer of law who's paid to protect and to serve us can kick our doors down without due process, without warrant, can pull us over and make us, for no reason, obey him. I don't agree with the punishment of the drug laws. I don't agree with bribery and scandal in government. All occurs on every level.
So what are people grumbling about? You said they're complacent,
Okay.
but what are they complacent on?
What are people grumbling about most? Missy, what do you think is most grumble that you hear?
You're always in a rush. You've got to get ahead.
Not
Basically.
economic
that-
problems.
yeah.
Economic problems.
Economic problems.
Economic problems. A shortage of money.
Where do you think that stems from?
I think it stems from where we got away from the barter system, where we traded hogs for chickens, and
I think you nailed on the head. What was that?
greed.
That's right.
Where does greed come in, and where does the desire to have enough to take care of our loved ones? What's it? What one person might call greed, one person might call having your family
Success
take care of
and-
success. So it's just, I don't know. You get so deep with it. I don't know where you would draw the lines with this. Where would you draw the lines with this?
I'm just asking.
I'd be each individual, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm afraid so, yeah.
But I believe maybe in a community though, if people were more involved with the community instead of worrying about themselves, that maybe that line would be easier to see for people,
Okay, basically, I would say, and some people might understand this, some people might not understand it. I would say if we had a true Christian outlook towards other people, that we cared for other people, we love for other people, we give to other people, we help other people. To me, that are the Christian standards that personally I try to live by. I'm a sinner, brother, let me tell you, but if we applied Christian principles, not some convoluted idea of Christian principles or some cult, but truly what Christ taught, this would be such a much more powerful, progressive nation, okay? Because there would be no greed, be no covetousness, that would just take care of so many problems. If everyone adhered to the ideas, the teachings of Jesus, which I have personally tried to do. So, therefore, that's the most purest answer I can give. Economically, I think it's almost impossible, but there's got to be better ways to improve it. For instance, the automobile insurance industry. Every vehicle up and down this road is forced to pay. Okay, that slid in, people didn't think much about it. You're forced to pay that. I don't want to pay that, but I have to pay that. If I wreck my car, but it's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that the government is forcing you to do. It's same to me if there's a national health plan that says, okay, you've got to pay into this, okay? Although I wished there was some way we all had a way to be taken care of medically in equal ways. Now, what about that? You know as well as I do, I don't have any insurance. But
Yep.
I've been to the hospital down here twice with some serious problems, and they helped me out. And owe me, and they'll work a way out for me with money. So it's just so broad, and things have progressed so rapidly that I don't know where you would begin. Would you want me to give away an
Well,
acre of mine?
the reason I asked that is because when we're in
See, good to see.
when they ask
Don't go
me,
fishing.
whenever we're interviewed, right? They ask us these same questions, you know, and that's why I'm asking you, because you are the people. You know, we can't claim to be we're the 99% of the population if we don't know who the people are. So I'm asking you, and it seems like that's the answer that we give, you know, and that's the answer that we give. But then the media and the journalists, they misconstrue that, and they say, well, you guys don't have a specific goal. And we're saying, no, but this is what the people want.
Right.
It's so broad, you know, it's not just one thing. It's everything, you know?
So many things.
Yeah.
So many different ways.
And I just think maybe that as this movement progresses and as this movement grows and it touches more people and more people awake to it, maybe the mass media will catch on to the fact that we are speaking for the people. You know, we're not just encampments in the city. We are speaking for the people. You know, and you're helping that.
There would be various views from people here. I dare say that half the people would say, leave me alone, get away from me. I'm not going to share anything with you, you know. I'll shoot you if you come on my property. But to be able to, where are all the people going to live, how all the people going to be fed, and it all be done in a fair way? Well, first and foremost, life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. And so some people are always going to remain at an advantage to others. Some people are always going to take advantage of others. However, in a business deal, if one person puts his money here and the other person gets it here, and after the transaction, if everybody's happy, that's not greed. It don't matter if you made 100% on it. That's not greed. That's the free enterprise system. I do, however, have this opinion of the government. I'd speak ill of no particular individual.
Absolutely.
Okay. Although some of them probably need to. But not publicly, because I don't want to get on their shit list. The federal government, to me, is the prophetic beast in the book of Revelation. That's, to me, my idea, my interpretation. The federal government is the beast. The beast is a self-feeding entity. Okay, right now, I think, what is it, 25% of the people work for the federal government? I don't know. Anybody know the exact amount? 20?
I don't know. I didn't know it was that high.
It's high. It's high. Maybe 15. It's a lot of people work for the federal government. They're not going to be against tearing it back down, because it's going to be a self-feeding beast. It feeds on itself. And what it feeds off, it feeds itself. What it feeds off of is the masses and the people. That's my idea of what the beast is the control by the government. However, a lot of the government is good, is necessary. But think about it. It's the self-feeding beast that gobbles it, makes itself larger and larger and larger. So where do we, the people, stop that before it eats us up? Okay? It starts in small ways, but it starts in very large ways. You can't tell me that there aren't million dollar payoffs on deals that go through Congress and that's just money taken. But you know what? To hell with money. I'm not worried about money. God has provided me many times when I ain't got a nickel. Then before the day's over with, He's taking care of my needs. It's hard to live by faith. It's hard to live by faith.
So if there was one last thing that you could just tell the people that are watching, and that if there was one last thing that you could tell the people, so if you had a reach that was unlimited, an infinite reach, right, where you could basically jostle the politicians and jostle the system, right, basically take a hold of them, kind of wake them up, what would that be? What would you say?
The Bible says in the last days, every word spoken will be given account of. If every person could be made accountable for it. But you know, that would have to be in here, because it can't be policed. But that would be what would cure this problem.
Accountability. Thank you.